Hello and welcome to our Saturday stream. I'm Josh, and this is our Fantasy Grounds map and image creation. Thanks everybody for joining me today. Last week we were working on this map. Oh, hello everybody. So last week we were working on this map, so I thought that we would continue on this, create a couple other rooms, and kind of build this out from here. What we can do also is, if there's any suggestions, or if you guys have something that you would like to see done, or if there's any sort of things that you guys have been working on that you might need some pointers on, or anything along those lines, please let me know, and we can jump around and do a whole bunch of different stuff today. But I'm kind of having fun using these new art packs that we just released this last month. And so we can continue our little exploration of them and their usage. We've been combining it with a couple of the other art packages as well, kind of fill it out a little bit. So we're going to go out and build a couple of other areas here. We'll make this a nice map that can be uploaded to the Forge for you guys, that you guys can download for free. You will need to have access to the art packages in order to use this map once it's uploaded, but there is quite a number of them up there already, and I have a bunch more to be putting up there, which I'm going to try and get done this next coming week. I think I have about another 30 or so maps that we can put up there. So the question is there a class like this on the regional continental map building? And there is. Yeah, we've done several of those, and what we can actually do is we can do some today if you'd like. We can work out some regional maps as well. We've done it a few times on the stream, and I'm always down for world building. That's one of my most favorite things to do. We could certainly take a look at that as well. But for right now, let's build another room off of this, and then, or maybe even just another kind of entryway or something, right? I'm kind of thinking we could do something with stairs, build something up, and kind of go along those ways, that way. Something that's going to be either leading up to a second floor or add some elevation kind of elements. I always like to do that. But yeah, we've done a lot of regional maps in the past, and we can do a little bit on this, and then maybe in the second half we'll start building a new regional map. Be super fun. So yes, absolutely. I use a lot of shortcuts. So if I do something and you're unsure of how I did it, please let me know, and I'm certainly happy to explain. I try to always narrate everything that I'm doing, as far as like what buttons I'm using, mouse configurations, and so on. But if I go too fast, or if I do something that you're not quite sure, please let me know, and we'll get right into that. So as we've been working on this previously, we have all of our layers kind of set up here. And if anybody is interested on how we kind of do this, you can certainly go back and watch the previous episode. And also I'll try to further explain as we go along here. The way that the Fantasy Ground system works is that it uses the same kind of layer system that you might see in Photoshop or any of the similar type programs. And we can rearrange these, move these around, and the order of them determines the way that it's the hierarchy of the visual order as well. Oh, sure. There's another question here. If you get a chance, can you mention a little bit about how you manage the art packs when you approach a map project? Certainly. So depending on what we're trying to do, and the way that I have put the art packs together varies depending on what's trying to be achieved by that particular art package. And this is how I kind of go about the creation of the art packs in the first place, is I try to find what elements are we missing, what package will fill in a gap, and that kind of determines what the image quantity and also the actual images themselves, the subject matters, will get put into the package. And that being that way, it does tend to make the art packages a little bit ununiform in their contents. So some are going to have a lot more structural elements like walls and brushes, whereas others are going to have a lot more decorations and so on. What I usually do is I use a lot of the search feature that we have in Fantasy Grounds. So let me just open up the assets over here, and we can kind of look at this really quickly. And I'll kind of show you what I mean here. And what we can do is we can get into a particular package, and the way that the search feature works is it is going to search through all of the relevant images that are present from the hierarchy that is shown. So as we narrow it down, we can get into specific art packs and find particular images. So let's say, for example, in the cemetery art pack, here we have a bunch of brushes for things that you might want to see in a cemetery, right? It's actually like cracks that you can kind of do across. You can build your own cracks and whatnot, breaking up certain pieces of material. Here we have like a, whoop, drag that right in there. Here we have like a metal fence and so on and so forth, right? So if we were looking for a fence, for example, and if I were into this art, up into the major default overview of all of the different art packages, I can just type in the word fence. And this is going to bring up every fence that has in each of the art packages, right? We have quite a lot here. But if I want to do brushes, for example, if I want to make sure that I want something with a brush, I can add that in here as well. And that's going to narrow my search down. You can see that it now gives me all of the brushes that I can quickly grab from and use, that I don't really need to even know where a certain image is located in which art package. But I can, if I hover over it, it'll tell me that this is in the Abandoned Places Map Pack 2. This is in the Desert Ruins, and so on and so forth. So I can kind of find it through these search features. But like I was showing you before, let's move this right out of here. Let's go back into the cemetery one. Now if I type in the word fence, this is going to bring up only the ones that are in this particular art package. So we can kind of narrow it down as we go. So when I'm working on a map project, it's probably a little bit easier for me and a little bit more, well, because I put them all together, so I have a better understanding about what's going to be in each of the art packages. But you can kind of do a little quick search feature and find out all of those different things. And one of the ways that we have broken these up into these categories, we have brushes, and these are going to be the things that you're going to use with a line, a rectangle, or the ellipse tool, and they will work seamlessly as you can paint things out. So demonstrate, for example, here we have these cracks, and maybe I'll just make this a little bit bigger, and we'll just kind of do so how this is going to work. This is kind of designed to work with over stone, and specifically the ones inside of here. But here I could quickly draw out some cracks, as you can see here. And I could even make this smaller and kind of, you know, bring this out, make it larger. So you can see how all of this kind of comes together to create a cohesive system. And delete that. Oh, so we have a new question that is, what's the best way to start learning to use the program? So I specifically deal with the image side of things, the map making tools and so on. Carl actually builds the system, and I put together the art packages and so on. As far as like using the entirety of Fantasy Grounds, there's a whole bunch of stuff online. Also, inside of the program itself, you'll see that each one of these windows has a little question mark. And this will take you directly to the wiki and all of the information that is tied to each individual aspect. So for example, if I open up characters and I click on this button, we'll get a little pop-up that will take you right to the area that talks about the character selection process, the character sheets, and so on. So anytime that you have a question about using anything inside of Fantasy Grounds, all the information is going to be right there for you. Oftentimes in the wiki itself, there is a lot of videos and a lot of documentation that will walk you through the usage. Also, there's tons of videos online and YouTube and whatnot that go through a lot of the creation process of many of the different elements. Those other elements aren't something that I'm particularly adept at, as I work primarily in the image area. But that's why we do this stream, is to kind of go through all of the image creation process, map creation process, and so on. So we have another, I guess, a comment here from Bill on Facebook. Yep, most of them probably do use line of sight. So you think that the walls aren't thick enough? Okay, so there's a that's going to be dependent on who. Are you talking about like pre-bought maps that come, or pre-made maps that come inside of a module and whatnot? Because those will be done by specific people. You can easily redo those, but I'll show you that if you're building your own maps, the built-in system that generates the line of sight for you is a little bit different. But yes, yep, we can talk about that as well. You can certainly start with map creation. It's my favorite thing to do inside of Fantasy Grounds, but I might be slightly biased. But yeah, so if we look at the line of sight here really quickly, you can see that this is just a single line in all of these different elements. The doors and whatnot need to be a little bit different, and we should probably change that a little bit. But when we generate our own line of sight, so let's do a little bit more of a demonstration here really quickly. I'll create a new painting layer, and I'll show you how the system is kind of set up. And this is going to invest in later advancements that are coming. So we have Carl is working on some wonderful new tools behind the scenes for lots of new stuff and ways that we can interact with the image creation system. And so this is kind of an important part of it, and something that we're very proud of here. So let me just go, I'll grab one of these walls, for example. Let's go into our painting area over here. And I'll just grab this wall brush. I'm going to make this a bit bigger so we can kind of see what we're doing here. And let me just grab a rectangle here, and I'm just going to pull this out and make an image here. So here we have this wall, and let's say we want to generate all of our line of sight for this. We can do that by switching over to the line of sight tab here, and we have this button that says duplicate these paint layers as walls, and it will automatically generate all of this for us. You can see that that's what we did with this over here. And depending on the size of the wall, what it will do is it will always create it right in the middle of the brush itself. So let's delete these. Let's try this one more time. We'll create a new painting layer, and this time we'll make the wall a bit thicker here. And we'll switch over to image here. Oh, instead of making it just longer, what I'll do is I'll turn this off, and let's make this like 2. What this means in all of the image creation system, it's all tied to the grid. So how you've set the grid up, this is going to be in grid increments. And this is going to be the entire image, which includes the alpha on the sides. So this is actually like this size inside of the program itself, even though the image itself isn't going to be too. It takes into consideration the entire image that is locked away inside of the vault. But let me grab this, and we could even do like an ellipse, for example. And I'm just going to drag out ellipse. So the reason why that this is a little bit strange colors because we have our lighting system on. Let's turn this stuff off so that we can actually see it as it's meant to be here. And now we could even come in here and, for example, use our eraser, and maybe we're going to take out some of this, maybe an element over here, and so on, right? Now as we go into here and we generate our duplicate this as our walls, you can see that this is going to be right in the middle of the wall itself. which means that when we use our characters, when our players actually enter into this area, they're going to come in here and they're going to be able to see everything all the way up to the occluder. So you'll get to see some of that wall. I know that some of the pre-built ones, and again, that's determined by whoever does the line of sight for that particular map. If it's like a Pathfinder map or a 5e map or whatever you happen to be using, how they operate inside of that system is just completely dependent. So what they probably do is when they come in, they probably actually add in it all manually as they go around, and they might bring it right to the edge. But you can come in and you can readjust all of this stuff. You can jump right in there and change all of the line of sight to whatever you'd like it to be. Right, that's correct. So as Aaron says, you rarely need double or thick lines. And if I ever do them as well, I'll do them rather close together, especially if there's areas that are very thick, like caves and whatnot. Or sometimes you have a lot of like dead space in between the walls and other elements. So it's an entire art itself, working out the line of sight and for it to work perfectly, or the most optimal kind of way between what you would like to see and how it interacts with it. Right. All right, so let's get back into our map creation here. But if you guys have any other questions, feel free. I love to go off on tangents and work on stuff. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to switch over to my stamp tool. I'm going to go down to the floor layer here. And what we have is we've divided this up into several different layers, dependent on the height of which something is, or how far away it is from the viewer. So we're the viewer here looking down on this scene. The furthest elements are going to be the lowest on the list over here. And here we have the floor, which is our base that we use in the background. And then we have lower decor, which is going to be like all of our rugs and things along those lines. And then we have some painted in shadows that we did. And we're going to be doing another one of these rooms so that you guys can kind of see how this is all put together as well. And then once we get that done, we'll switch over and we'll do some regional stuff. That's always fun as well. Then this is our main decor layer, and we can hide these layers and you can kind of see where things are, and you can see these are the shadows that we've painted coming out from underneath this stuff. And we have this one bookshelf, which is right over here. If we switch over this, and the reason why we did that is because we created a secret door over here. And if we switch back over, what we can actually do is we can interact with this system. I'm going to move this. This is the pivot point right here. And what we can do is we can actually interact with this system, and this will update in real time to our players. So I can actually hold down control and I could swing this out if they discover this this element or do whatever we wish. I probably wouldn't swing it out that far. Maybe something like this. We don't want it to run into our lovely desk here. But we can actually kind of manipulate all of these things. Which is kind of why we actually did the line of sight in the first place. Working out, somebody had a question about how to do hidden doors, secret doors. Oh, right. Yeah, retroactively recreate most of the official maps. You bet. We have done some. I did do a few. So, for example, but even then, I don't think I did the line of sight for them. I think whoever converted it, but I did the. I don't know if they're in this one or not. But I did updated maps for the adventure that was in Van Richter's Guide to Ravenloft. Yeah, so the pivot point is a really easy way for you to kind of naturally move something around without having to worry about it. So it's just this little dot, and you can move this wherever you'd like. Naturally, it's going to be in the center, so that way if we pivoted it, it would be right here. Pivot it. But we could move it anywhere we wish if we wanted it to come this way, and then we can just grab this. And to move it slowly and smoothly, I just hold down Control, because then it won't snap to the grid. If I don't hold down Control, it'll snap to these increments, which you could do this as well. Yes, I did some for Salt Marsh as well. Right, Play Games Patty. You are correct. I had totally forgotten about that. So when there are large ones that come out, I do recreate them. So what should we make for our next room here? We're going to go in, and I'm going to get right into the, I'm actually just going to type in floor here. And this is going to bring up all the different floor elements through all the different art packs here. You can see we got some blood on the floor. And cave floors. We have ones from abandoned places, which the abandoned places is great for making, just as it says, places that have been forgotten. Most of the elements are covered in debris and whatnot. All right, we could do a kitchen. That sounds fun. So we'll grab one of these. We have this type of tile floor. Oh, we can do some blood on the floor, sure. We have, maybe we could do, probably definitely should do like a tile floor, right? Forest floor. So what I could actually do to refine my search here a little bit is I can just type in the word tile. I think we'll go with something like this. And we're going to switch right over to our painting tab here. I'm going to move to my stamp tool here. And I think what we'll do is I'm going to turn this aspect lock ratio back on. Do like 6x5. Yeah, they bought the rug just to cover it up. And you can see that this is completely seamless as well. And I'm actually going to do it in this way. And then we have this nice bright kind of floor. This is from the Modern House Pack. Modern House 1 Map Pack. And then we can build out all kinds of different elements kind of here as well. So let's clear this out. And we can type in the word wall brush, for example. And so this is going to give us all the different types of walls that we have. I think actually I'm going to go into, let's go into that modern. I don't even know if we've actually used that one on stream very much, or at all, possibly. So we have two different art packs for this. One, and this is primarily the construction elements, right? In the first art pack, and then the second one, I believe, is mostly all of the decorative elements, furniture and whatnot. But we can use this brick one, possibly. That might be good for our... We'll find something that's going to work well for us. Maybe we'll do a combination of them, too. Go with brick. How about that? And I'm just going to come and drag this right over here. Again, we'll make this an appropriate size here. Something that is similar to the other walls that we were using. And we can actually use our line tool at this point. We're going to go onto our wall layer. We want to make sure that we adhere to this same kind of system, the system that we've set up. And then we can kind of jump back and forth through all of these different elements. In this lower decor area, we can put in we'll grab this board. I think we still have like the shelf down here last time. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to hold down Control, and that's going to allow me to snap to the grid system. With the line tool selected, we can actually grab, and I'm going to kind of go right over the top of some of these elements here. Kind of bring it to the edge here. I'm just going to pull this out, and again, I'm holding down Control, and that's going to allow me to snap to the grid. And then I'm going to drag this down with the middle mouse. I kind of can pan around here. And again, we're going to click, click, and then I'll just connect it like this. Oh, that's a little bit wonky. So I'm going to hit Control Z. And let's do that one more time. I'll actually start down here. Make things a little for me. And then I'm going to double click to end it there. And what we can actually do in this particular instance, now that we have our wall set up, now that we have some of these other elements kind of set up, we can start to plan out all the different kind of kitchen elements that we're going to have here as well. We can switch over to our eraser, and then we can come in and whatever doorways we might, let's do like one here and one there. We'll actually do it in the corner. So I'm going to do something like this, and I can kind of see exactly what I'm going to be erasing here as I come down through. So we'll get this stuff right out of the way. And we don't have to be super exact, as long as we're in the same kind of ballpark of where we want it to be. I'll open this up a little bit here. We can put in some other elements as well, kind of make this all blend together nicely. And the next thing that we can do is we can do exactly the same kind of stuff here. We have lots of different brushes. We can actually use some of these brushes and whatnot in the elements here, but we have all kinds of different stuff that we can kind of go through and use throughout this entire creation process. Here we have the structure elements. So we actually have counters. And we can do exactly the same kind of thing. Switch over to our stamp tool. I'm using a Control and my mouse wheel to change its size. I'm going to bring this down into the actual decor layer here. And again, I'm going to hold down Control and kind of snap this into the elements that we want here. But before I actually commit to doing that, I think what I'm going to do is go into the Victorian Art Package, because that's kind of what we were originally doing here. And again, we can do the same kind of thing, except I'm just going to type in counter, and maybe it might be in some of this stuff. We can just type it in right here. So yeah, I think that we can grab one of these. I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm just going to like snap it right here to the side. And then I can type in something like sink. And here we have some different sinks that we can grab here if we wanted to use this. And we might want to put this like right in the midst of one of these, something like this. More of a bathroom kind of sink though. We have these ones as well. I think we'll make this a little bit wider here. Match this up a little bit better. Probably be something more like this. And let's type in stove. Maybe even oven. And we can type in all of these different elements, and you can see that these are going to pull them up from all the different art packages. We can kind of grab some of these, and I think I might use some of these ones that are at a slight bit of an angle, just to give us a little bit of more of a perspective on some of the stuff. And once we add in our shadows and whatnot, we can put some lots of cool stuff around to decorate these places up, and lots of cool stuff in here. So maybe we'll grab this, and we can either some of this stuff like right above. Maybe something like that, but maybe we should wait. Well, let's do a lot of stuff on the counter itself, and then we can kind of figure out where we're going to be placing all of these different things. Bags of trash. These ones are from the abandoned art pack, abandoned places. Yes, that's correct. So the question is, am I holding down control when you draw your outer walls to keep this square and snap to the grid? And yes, that's exactly what I do. And here's a nice little trick if you guys are unfamiliar with as well. Let me just do another quick little demonstration here. I'm just going to grab any wall. I'm just going to type in wall here. I have a lot of art packs, so it might take a moment for it to search through and collect all of the different walls. And I will narrow this down to brush. So here I'm just going to grab like this brick wall. And I'm actually going to switch over. Let's do the rectangle here. So I'm going to pull out a rectangle. So what I can actually do now is I can go back into my layers tab. You can see because I painted this out with either the line, ellipse, or rectangle tool, I can now go into the actual layers tab itself, and I can further adjust this. So if I wanted to line this up perfectly, and I have done it imperfectly, I can still come in here and I can grab these elements, and I can even type it into here as well. But I'm able to adjust this and put this exactly where I want it to be. You can always do that after the fact as well. It should be noted that everything that you add to a particular painting layer will be affected by this. So if I come back into my painting element over here, let's say I another rectangle right over here side. This is all going to become one unit when it comes to the layers tab. So all of these will be adjusted together. Yes, yep, you can. And you can do it individually as well per art package. So very useful way to find whatever you need really quickly. Another great feature that we can use is our hotkeys down here at the bottom. So if I'm going to be using this brick wall a lot, I can drag it and drop it right down here. You can see it's just been updated. And then I can drag it from here and use it anywhere I wish. I could even drag it and just drop it right into the art program itself, and it would be like dragging and dropping something. But here, let's say I switch to this, but I was like, oh no, I want it to be back. I can drop that, grab it, drop it in like this, or I can do it here. So you can use this for images, so you don't have to keep searching for them. There are particular images that I use often, like these ones for shadows, and so I keep these down here at all times. You should also remember that if you hold down Control or Alt or Shift, you have a whole nother line of these at the bottom, and any combination of these. You have a multitude different little quick slots at the bottom that you can kind of use. Yep, exactly right. So let's delete this. We're not gonna need it more. And we can come back over to what we're working on here. And what I'm actually going to do is go into the Victorian art package here. And we're going to be jumping back and forth between these as well. In here we have all kinds of decorations and whatnot that you might find in a typical kind of a Victorian setting. I believe that most of these ones are, we have lots of, here's like a spoon and so on and so forth. So we can kind of grab some of these elements. And I'm going to go right into my decor layer right here. Oh, I don't want to put it there. I want to go into my painting layer here. And I'm going to use this stamp tool. Maybe we'll put a spoon in the sink. And we can start to put some of these things around. Maybe like jars and whatnot that might be and now let's go into the other Victorian art package here. This is primarily where all of the decorations are. Yeah, well, there's actually been some talk about stuff like that. FGA about a possible system for doing that. So hopefully in the future, keep our fingers crossed. And I can grab some of these elements, and I'm going to start to add some additional kind of stuff in here. And we might even want to do some of these type of elements. What I can actually do is like this. We'll make this like maybe like a rack. Certain things are on. And we can grab some cups. Maybe we'll have one like tipped over like this. And we can put like maybe like a lantern. That a little bit bigger, we'll put that in the corner. Put a little pail next to our stove over here. what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make these sizes, and we can grab our color picker here and change the color on these a little bit. And one more this. And now what we can do is I'm going to go back all the way up here. Grab this. And I'm going to flip it this way. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit more narrow, because we're going to be hiding a little bit of this stuff, but I want stuff to be able to poke out from underneath it. We'll do something like 1.5. I think we'll make this maybe even a little bit wider here, maybe like 8. Yeah. Maybe we'll grab this guy. I think that this is from Interior Map Pack 2. We can put some other elements around here as well. And let's type in table. Let's put a table in here. Gotta have a kitchen table, right? Sci-fi. I'm thinking something like this. Yeah, prep table, right. And we'll grab a couple of these stools. Guess we'll do something like this. And I'm going to go to the lower decor here. Put a couple of stools here. We have some nice decorative dishes that we can use. And we might want to even put some at an angle like this. Actually, you know what? Let's put that on the higher decor. We'll have that poking up over the wall just a little bit. And these are from the Modern House Pack. Yeah, gotta have the china. Absolutely. So now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of texture on this floor. And then we have a whole bunch of different textures in different art packs. And what they are is just kind of overlays that will work really well. And these snow textures actually work great because we can adjust them to any color we wish. There's a lot of other ones. And like I said, they're just a lot of these elements. And you'll see them. They're usually in the effects folder. But if I grab something along these lines, let me grab something like this. You can see that this is just texture. And I'm just going to add this, give a little bit of noise onto the floor itself. And so I'm actually going to hold down the R, G, and B, and I'm going to mouse wheel it down to almost black. Move it up a little bit, keep it in the gray area. I'm going to hold down A and use my mouse wheel to lower down the opacity. And I might make this a little bit shorter down here. And I'm going to put this right on my floor layer, right? I think what we'll do is make it a little bit darker, a little bit less opaque. You can see this is just going to make it feel like there's worn bits. And kind of add a little bit more interest into kind of what's going on here. And we can even do it with different colors and make it seem like there's some discoloration in some of the tile and whatnot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to these shadowed areas. I'm just going to grab, this is what we use a lot of times. And again, I'm going to hold down R, G, and B, and I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to put a little bit of blue in it. And I'm going to lower down the opacity here a little bit. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to change this to make it a little bit oblong as well. And so I can just kind of paint this out from underneath for a little bit. And we'll do some coming out from the corners here a little. Right up in here. And now I'm going to go up to this higher shadow layer. We're going to add in all of the elements in here that we want. Well, so I'm going to do a little bit coming off of this edge. Again, to make this a bit more oblong here, like this. And I'm going to make this back to a much rounder shape again. And now I can kind of come in here and do some little shadows and whatnot in and around. So what we did last time, and the reason why this is seemingly lighter as I do it, is we've changed the opacity on the actual layer itself here. And so that all works in tandem. We're going to make sure that I have this on. Stamp tool. I actually want to do a little bit of shadow down in this sink as well. And we'll do some off of all of these elements. Just add a little bit more believability to our environment. And we can kind of come in here and on our little bucket in the corner. And I think what we'll actually do is maybe add in a little bit of texture to countertop itself. Right, right. Bleach. You're right. It kind of takes away that that fake look, right? Like it's too pristine. I think we'll make this a little bit yellowier. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower down our blue. Then we're going to hold down R and G together, and we're going to make that. I'm actually going to get a little bit smaller as well. We're going to do this in the make it a little. And maybe some on the stove. Now what we can do is go into our effects layer, and as we kind of adjusted before with our effects, we're going to reveal area. Now what I'll do is I'm going to drag in this entire area here, and then we're going to hide it in the middle here. We just take this. It's going to give us this little bit of an edge, kind of what we did throughout here. And I'm going to hold down Control again, and I can add in just a little bit of extra from some of these elements. Now I'm going to grab this. Actually, I'm going to switch to my painting tab first. I'm going to grab this, what we're going to use for our little jams down through here. I'm going to go down to the lower decor, and I'm just going to place the I think what I'll actually do as well is come in here, and I'm going to kind of just cap this off. And I'm going to grab the same kind of color here. So I'm going to grab my tint, and I'm actually going to use the eyedropper tool here. Now this is the kind of stuff that I shouldn't do it on there. I should actually do it on my walls. I'm going to hit Control Z. That a little bit bigger. And let's do it here as well. And now we can grab in a door. Yeah, I think we were using this one on some of these areas over there. Here, let's grab this one. Make sure I'm on my stamp tool here. And we'll grab something else for the other side over there. Grab this one. And now let's switch over to our area over here, and we'll just do this one manually. And what I'm going to do is, the way I usually like to do it is I'll do my doors first. So what I'll do is I'll just come in here and do one door. Another one like this. Then I'll switch to the line tool here. Looks like we have a couple of little extra ones in there. I'm going to click on those end pieces like this, and I'm just going to delete that. And now what I can do is just connect these walls like this. And I'm going to overextend here. Double click and end that. And I'll do the same here. And let's just move this like that. And now what I can do is I can just come in here. I'm going to hold down Shift and select all of these ones. And hit delete. And there we do. All finished. See how quickly you can build these little environments. It's quite fun, in fact. And again, if we wanted to, we could add in maybe some other light fixtures in here. Even put a little wall switch wall over in here. But yeah, so much fun. And we could create all sorts of different little areas and whatnot, whatever your heart's desire, really. Do you guys have any questions, or is there anything that I did that you weren't quite sure of how I managed it? Or we move on to something new? And you can see we've created all of this entire environment with a very minimal number of layers as well. Right. Need some lamps and stuff. Sure. Nifty lighting elements. As it stands now, if we turn our lights on, you can see that it'll be quite dimly lit in there. We actually set up our global illumination so that our shadows, or there's a little bit of kind of like dark light everywhere we go. We could probably actually make that a little bit darker ambient light source. And there's a couple of different ways that we can kind of approach that. We can either just lower its opacity, or we can actually change the color itself. And in this kind of instance, as you can see, if we open up these doors, light will kind of shine in, create some really cool kind of effects as all of these systems act here. We do have this one little lamp in the corner, so maybe we'll just add a little light down there. I'm put it on, let's do a preset of candle and then augment it. What I'll do is I'll keep the brightness pretty low, but let's increase the dim. Bring this out to something like 5, and this is all in squares. So this is the lighting system is going to change based off of the rule set that you're interacting with. So the default is it'll do it in squares. So what this means is that the lighting system, the outer edge here will be about 5 squares away. We can increase that to maybe like 7, and then we'll increase our brightness to like 2. And then our fall off is the actual blend. You can see we have a pretty good line here, and that can be really important for certain rule sets, right? So you know where there's dim and where there's bright light. But for these purposes, we could put it all the way to 100, for example, and that's going to have a perfectly smooth kind of transition there. But if we do something like 50, we can do that. And if we do this to 100, you can see we get this nice gradual kind of transition here. It will make that like 7. And drastically kind of change the mood of the area that you've created here. You can see as we're in the lighting system, you'll be able to see all the different lights that we've already put in here. We got one from the fireplace, one for all of these other elements. And we should probably actually do a stream sometime on setting up your lighting to be more dramatic. It's always a fun thing to do. You should always think of these as like a movie set or like a stage, and using lights to create mood and ambience can be very, very useful. A lot of times I like to use colors as well to help create a lot of mood. And you have so much control over it in the system, so definitely use it to its full potential. Great, so I'm going to turn this off so you guys can have a better kind of vision of what we've created. You can see, I think it looks pretty great. Lots of different elements in here. Showcase off all kinds of different ways that you can kind of approach different things that you want to create here. So I'm going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to do a regional map. I think that sounds pretty fun. Work out a bunch of different stuff here. So if you guys just want to hang out for a moment, I'm just going to refreshen my coffee and get some more water, and I'll be right back. And we're back. Thanks everybody for hanging out while I took a short break. Refreshed all my beverages and we're ready to go. So we're going to go into a regional map pack. I think we'll do let's see here. We have done both types of regional things in the past here. But I'm thinking we'll do the old world regional map pack. I think most of the ones that we've done on here have been with the other version, and this one actually makes maps that are similar to ones that you might see in like Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. Yes, yeah, one hot beverage, one cold beverage. That's what I do. And this is always a fun way to kind of create. And this really, and these are all exactly the same kind of techniques. The way that this one is actually set up is a little bit different than the other regional pack, where that one has the water in the background. This one you start off with the land, and both ways work particularly well. So what I'm going to do is we'll create a new image record here. We have a couple here, yeah. So here's one that we created a while ago. We actually created this one with a combination of art packages. We did like this stuff from the other elements there. And we also did this one. We did all of these on stream as well. And this is with the regional map pack. And this one is the old world regional map pack. So what I'm actually going to do is right click and just create a new item here. Create us a new record. Preview. And I'm just going to grab this background image and I'm going to drag it and drop it right in here. And this is 50 by 32 apparently. So I'm going to change this to 100 by 100. And then I'm going to lower down the opacity of this. And that'll be 25 by 60. And what I'll actually do is I'm going to duplicate this and bring it down here. And I'll flip it so that we just have a kind of like seamless. And you can see that this has a little bit of texture in it already. But we're going to be painting over this. We're going to be creating our landscape. And the way this kind of works is like this. We're going to be building out our water and our edges so that we can actually put all of this stuff together. So this is kind of like a tiled system over here. We have all of these different elements here. And if we go into our decorations, this is where we're going to have all of our like lakes and other elements that we're going to be placing around. And in our effects, we have some additional kind of overlay. These are like those textures that I was speaking of earlier. And what these can do is they can add that kind of element to make this feel more like a map. If you want to think about it in this way, this old world regional map pack is more about creating what your player might have as a map. Some sort of like hand-drawn, especially in like a fantasy kind of environment. Whereas the other regional map package is more about creating a bird's eye view of an actual area. Yeah, sure. There's the question is there a base tutorial? And there is, and that's kind of what we're going through right now as well. So absolutely, and there's lots and lots of videos. If you go onto the YouTube channel, you should be able to find just about anything you want. Oh yeah, and Fantasy Grounds Academy. Absolutely. So here I've just dragged and dropped out two of these base images. So the background in all of these art packages are where they're going to be pre-made maps, unless there's a lot of them, and then they might have their own folder. But and all of the base images that you kind of start off with. So you'll usually be like a ground layer, a background layer, water layers, and so on and so forth. And then we're going to build on top of it. Then we can come over into our decorations and tiles. We also have this brush where we can use to kind of fill in certain elements as well. I'm just going to jump into these tiles, and you can see that we have some blank water elements as well as all of these coastal things. Now there's a couple of ways that we can use these, and we can either just drag and drop them out, and you can see that they'll just fit right into these areas very well. And what this is we're actually creating the coastline here. You can see that. If you look at each one of these, they actually have a little bit of kind of blended area here. And the rest is going to be this kind of like blank area out here. So depending on how you like to work, each time you drag one of these out, you can see these will all just kind of work together. See, this is for like curving around a particular element here. Each one of these is going to create its own layer. Now we can do it this way, or we can actually interact with the system by using the painting as well, right? So we have some particular types of elements here that we can either do it this way. I prefer to use the painting layer, so I'm going to create a new painting layer. But feel free to be able to, you can interact with the system any way you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put all of my water, and I'm going to rename this to water. And what I'll do is I'll actually build out all my water elements, and I'll probably change the color of some of these things as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder, and I'm going to move this down underneath my water element, and I'm going to call this ground, and I'm going to drop these right inside of there. So now that's all one kind of unit, right? So if I want to, I can grab this and interact with it as I select it from the folder itself. That kind of brings those two layers together. Now from here, what I can actually do is go into my painting tab, and we have a whole slew of different tools here. I'm going to be using the stamp tool, but I could also use this brush. So the way that the brush actually works is any sort of repeating image, anything that is seamless from one end to the other, we can kind of use here. So this one, for example, will work very well. I'm going to change it. It's got to be in a vertical kind of position here. But if I start to paint this out, you can see I could actually paint this out in a very easy fashion. So I could actually, if I wanted to, I could paint out the entire, make this a little smaller, but I could paint out the entire coastline just with this one image. Make that bigger. This too, like this. So what I can do is, for example, if I wanted to paint this out and around, and then I could fill it in. So why don't we do a couple of different elements like that? This is its default size. So even if I use it, I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to start it here. Let's do the top here. Actually, let's just do water along one edge here. And so I'm going to hold down Control. I'm going to go the other direction here. All lines up the way that we expect it to. And I'll paint this down, and holding down Control, I can kind of snap to the grid. But I can also let go and do any sort of interaction that I want to. We're going to be filling in some other out here as well. So the way that the Fantasy Grounds works is it'll actually change the shape of this as I draw it around. Now I can either come out and click and go to different elements, or I could actually hold down mouse button, and I'm able to just draw this any way that I want to, and I can just put it out to the edge there like this. You can see this is going to be like a repeating kind of element, and we're not going to have a whole lot of cool kind of interactions here. But I'll show you guys how you can kind of manipulate the system a little bit further if you wanted to go that route. Now down here, well, let's do another. We'll do the water kind of coming through the middle here. And now down at the bottom here, what I'll actually do is just use the stamp tool, and I will kind of stamp these as well. So again, I can hold down Control, and that's going to place it right into the elements of the way that I expect it to interact with this. And I think a bit. And I can hold down Control. And you can see I can just begin to paint out these elements as well. Now some of these actually have some interesting kind of ways that they interact with the system here. We could grab something like this. I'm not sure why these aren't loading up exactly the way they're supposed to. But you can see I can begin to create these elements along these lines. I actually want to do something that's going to kind of, and we can mix and match these as well. I could, for example, if I wanted to just begin to start to drag some of these elements out like this, this will still line up perfectly because I was holding down Control and connecting to the system here. And we can kind of build all of these elements together here. So make sure that you use whatever kind of system is the most comfortable for you. And what I'll actually do is I'm going to come in here and fill in all of these different kind of elements. So we can do, and I can show you that we can actually do this lots of different ways. We can either do it with the image, or we could actually do it because this is one kind of solid color here. We can actually do that with the system itself, with the built-in kind of image creation. Oh, so we have a question here. So the question actually is, how would you do? Oh, I accidentally. Yeah. How would you do an archipelago, which is like a group of islands, right? And so, depending on the size of the islands that you want to do, and we're going to actually we can actually talk about that in here. I'll show you one of the ways that you can kind of come in here and do that. So we actually have a brush here, and this brush is basically just this image, right? So what we could actually do is, depending on where we want to put it and how we want to do it, because we have this base image in the background, everything that we do from the water level. And before I go too much further, let's actually go in and I'm going to get the blank water one here. I'm going to make this quite large, and I'm just going to fill in some of these some of this blank stuff here really quickly. Let's make that like 8 by 5. Snap this right in here. And I'll leave a space in here. We can create our own islands right in through there. We can also do it with a coastline. I'm just going to block out some of this, and we'll do it here. Maybe we'll do some other islands here. So here, this is going to be our open areas of water, right? And I'm going to grab this brush. Then I can make this any size that I wish. I'm going to make it quite small. And I'm just going to hold down my mouse button here. And what I'm actually going to do is I can start to draw in these elements as well. I can start to create my own islands here any way that I wish. And perhaps I'm going to create an opening to a river over here. So I might start to draw this out here, something like this. And I'm actually going to leave in some of these elements like this, right? We're going to create our own little, most of the islands that are going to be at the forefront of going to be broken. Like what I'm actually going to do is going to just draw these in. And let randomness kind of happen here. I'll change the size of this. Add in some additional elements like this. And I can do the same thing out through here. So I can make this even larger if I want to. And I can start to just kind of draw elements in and around. Kind of have some fun. And then what I'll do is after the fact, I'll change some of the shapes of the islands. Right, we'll shrink this down and get the elements like this. Shape of anything that I want, basically. Now I can do it either this way, or I can also come into, if we go into the decorations, we have all kinds of different lakes and whatnot, and some of these have some shapes to them. So what we can do is we can come in here like this. And we can start to stamp around the edges. And we can flip it around. If you want to create like these interesting kind of shapes, you can also go into the tiles here, and we have these kind of elements as well. You can always hit Control Z if you're doing something that you don't really you don't think it's going to work the way that you anticipate it. Basically, this could be like an island shape down here, and then we can fill in around the outside, for example. Maybe what we'll do is do something like use these to kind of break up some of these images as well, a little bit smaller. And you can use these along the edges of your coastline. Maybe do something like this to make these little islands along the edge. And you can do the same thing out through here. Maybe we'll grab something like this. And again, you can come down and you can create shapes like this. And this is where we start to feel like that the system itself, right? It's a very open and creative way that you can use all of the different images to do basically whatever you wish. And that's one of the advantages of when we have this type of system for how it interacts. And then I can kind of show you the difference in the other, make this a interesting shape. And we can add this, put something like that. I guess we'll just draw that out there. And then what I can do again is do the same thing. What I'll do is I'll just kind of switch back to this, and I can stamp out all of the areas in here that I don't want, right? Now in the future, there's some great new tools that are becoming to us inside of Fantasy Grounds here that we're in the process of testing. I'm so excited to show off when they're ready. But that'll make all of this kind of stuff very, very easy. Excited about it. And now I'll just fill the rest of it. And we can go back into some of these other elements here, and I'll grab maybe this one. I'll have to check these XML files to make sure that they're, when you guys drag and drop these out, that they're the size of their. But here we've created our own little shapes and whatnot. We've greatly made this kind of more complex over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back over to this one particular image. This at 3. And I'm going to switch over to this right here. Then I'm just going to paint out kind of the rest of this. And I'm going to hold down Control. Interesting. Actually, we'll just start from over. Line this up. And then I'm just going to paint over that little section there. We'll get it all squared away here. Yeah, we can build that out lots of different ways. So here we have our base kind of understanding of what it's going to be. I think I'm going to actually erase this stuff. Let's put down some of our like mountains and stuff first before we get too crazy into our water layer here. But now as we add all of these elements onto just our water layer here, what we can actually do is go into our layers tab and we can control the color and make this maybe something a little bit more blue. And now we don't have to adjust these at all. Everything that we add is going to be right in that same kind of color palette, right? Like it will be adjusted automatically for us. So switching back over, let's say, for example, if we grab something like this, and we decide we're going to be making a couple of more like island shapes down through here. You can see that this all interacts with the system exactly the same way. It's the same exact color. Maybe we want to that up even a little bit more. And we could even do the same on some of these. Maybe we want to break up these a little bit more, add these little kind of islands on the edges. Up a little. Well, neat. And we can do the exact same thing with the ground as well, but might want to add in some of the other elements as well. So now let's go into our decorations. And this is what I want to plan out before I get too crazy with my waterways and whatnot. Let's add in a couple of mountain ranges. We can just grab something like this, and we don't want to do it on our water layer, so we'll add in a new painting layer here. So here we have a nice big mountain range. Maybe we'll have this coming down from the top here. Then we can grab some of these smaller kind of groupings. Bring this in something like this. Over here as well. And once we have some mountains down, we can grab some of these hills, kind of do some of these out on the outskirts here, on the edges. Now I'm obviously just going around haphazardly placing things without any sort of major plan, but if you were creating your own world map, you would probably have a better idea about where things are going to go and where you're going to be placing things. And you can grab some of the other elements like this. And what we can actually do is go back and maybe we'll drop in a couple of lakes or water layer, something large like this. And then we can maybe do some other tributaries and whatnot coming off of it. That. We can use these in conjunction with each other, right? We can create any shape we wish. And you can flip it. And that's kind of the advantage of using the system like this, is that they just you can create tremendous amounts of interesting shapes. And I think what we'll do is we'll do our trees later. Well, let's do all of our, well, yeah, let's finish up our waterways. No, maybe we should do our trees first. Yeah, we probably should. So that way we can kind of place these. And if you want to, you can do these on different layers as well. So we can kind of just build this down from here. Let's do like a large forest here. And we can bring in some of these other like groupings. When you're using this system, because they're kind of in a pseudo perspective based element here, you always want to start from the top and work your way forward. Because, and let me just do an example here. If I do this and then I put something above it, the interaction, even though this kind of works anyway, it's going to be a little bit weird. What you want to do is place them on front of each other like this as you kind of come down. So here we can kind of overlap them slightly. And we can do some up into here. Grab another one of these elements. Down here. But you can see how quickly you can start to create these environments. And we can grab some of these other elements as well. We have all kinds of different features and whatnot that we can use, but let's grab some of the like land thing, grassland here. And now that we have a pretty good understanding where all of our base kind of elements are, this is when I usually go in and start doing all of the different types of rivers and whatnot, so I can plan them out based around all of the other elements. Let's put in a couple of these. We might even want to do some coming out from this as well. And we can do this either by painting them like we were before, or we can go into our tiles and we have a whole bunch of different pre-made shapes. And what I would do is maybe grab something like this. We can rotate it and we can do whatever, any sort of shape that we want. Maybe we want to do like a little bit coming out down through here. And then we can grab some of the those lake elements and whatnot, create bottom, but kind of just place these together if we wish. Or we can use different elements. These are kind of just like pre-made little elements that snap together, something like that. But for ultimate freedom, we can just grab these, and then as long as it's basically in the same kind of shape and style and whatnot, we can kind of draw out our own little shapes. Back over to the line tool, as you can see here. Wonky, I gotta go a little bit faster, I think. I think we'll go into our decoration. We'll grab like this shape. What we'll do is we can create little. Now we switch back over to our stamp tool. Like ends and whatnot. Maybe they turn into these little. And this is where you can kind of flip this around and stack these on top of each other to create like interesting. Do all kinds of fun stuff here. And we can even come back in with our eraser if we want. And what I'm going to do is just reconnect that a little. So you know what? Let's just put a little bit of a of these guys here. Have a little bit more interaction with shapes. Make this kind of almost like a wetlands down through here. So you can see you can really start to make complex shapes by piling these images on top of each other. And then once we get kind of going here, we can use some of these effects. And even if you just drag and drop them out, see these are rather large images that kind of go right over the top, as you can see here. And maybe we'll put this in the middle and stretch this right way out. And again, we can use the lots of different a little bit. We can adjust their colors. Let's make this one a little bit darker here. And then lower down its opacity. We can do the same here. This down to something like that. And these all interact with the system, create layers of complexity the images. We can also use effects layers. So if we wanted to do like maybe time of day, and we can adjust this, add more elements, and we can adjust the amount that it affects thing as well. Or you could switch this to maybe grayscale if you wanted it to just be black and white. Or we could use parchment. To further enhance this, feeling a lot like a, we can adjust a lot of these kind of elements as well. So much that you guys can do interacting with it. So we'll lower that down a little bit. But we can also back off the intensity a little. You can see that that still adds quite a lot of dramatic elements to this. So feel free to kind of go into the system and do everything. And because all of this is cumulative, right, we can always go back onto our water layer and we can come into any of these elements. We can continue to add additional kind of elements. Maybe what we'll do is we'll connect a little water system down here. Grab some of these. Because we did it on those other layers, we don't have to worry about it, right? Like we can just kind of stamp this right in here. And it will all just match right up. I think what we'll do is grab something like this. On our journey up across this. It'll grab this one. And we might even want to add in like this. A little bit too much. Maybe we'll do it like here. That's be a little bit too repetitive, I think. Maybe we can grab this guy like that. Maybe here. Yeah. Creating these complex waterways. And then if we want to, we can write down off one that just kind of ends like this. Yeah, let's just end it in like, how about that? I suppose we could do whatever we wish. Maybe we'll do one here. This. Now with this painting layer here, this is got some of the same kind of colors that you have down below. So if we wanted to change the color of all of our different ground, for example, right, we can come into here. We could do the same thing that we did before. So let's say maybe we're going to make it a little bit more red. We want to have a little bit more contrast with the. Now we have a problem, right? Because of this. So all we have to do is hit Control C and copy this hexadecimal code. And then we can go into this other painting layer and we can just hit Control V and it will match that up perfectly. If we want to do some color variations, for example, we could create a new text layer and we could do an adjust colors. And maybe what we want to do is do like some areas that are like maybe even have green on it or whatever we wish. So that we could actually green of a particular area. Maybe we'll just, or if we wanted to make it darker, go in the other direction. Put this back to 50. One's going down. And then we can create a mask. And we can draw out wherever we want these patches to be. This. Then we can blur out those patches. And if this is too intense, what we can do is we can change these parameters. Maybe we can bring this all the way up to like 45. And we can adjust the dark or lightness. You could even want to, if you wanted to do like lots of different like stains or whatnot. But once this is all set, you can just now begin to go around and draw out any areas you wish. And I'm just holding down Alt. The same could be true if we wanted to make snowy areas and whatnot. We could just much lighter. But this can help give variations as well. Maybe we'll do a little bit out here. Maybe we should do some decorations out there as well. Because we've adjusted all of these colors from a layer perspective, we can go into our decorations. We can grab some of the elements. Maybe we want to do like a couple of mountains in area. Make sure I have my stamp tool selected. And as I stamp this, you can see it's going to adjust that color based off of the layer. Maybe we grab to these smaller grouping. Maybe we can grab some of these rocks too. I think we'll let's make the effects layer a little bit less abrupt as well. Make this like 48. Much more subtle. And we can start to place in some of these other elements around. Maybe if we're going to do some little towns and whatnot. We'll do this on exactly the same painting layer. So all of this is going to match up. So maybe we'll do one like down here. And we can do all of these little individual places as well. Maybe we'll do something like this here. And there you guys have it. Super simple. What I'll actually do is go into the other regional art package. And I'm going to grab, in the effects layer, we have a nice little vignette on top. And we'll make this appropriate size here. The way that we can do this is go right to here. We know it's 25 by 32. Turn that off. 5 and 32. That right over the top there. Now we can go into our tint here and opacity down a little. That'll give us a nice little blend there. Great. You guys have any questions, or is there anything that I did that I didn't explain properly, or? So far today we finished up our little Victorian area that we were creating. And we made this nice little regional map. What I'll do is I'll go into the, I'm going to switch back from parchment time of day. I'm actually going to do down to this, a little bit more contrast. Oh yeah, you bet. Archipelago. Yeah, there's so many different ways. So if you're using, depending on the art package that you're using and how you're going about it, it'll probably be different. So in this regional map pack, it'll probably be a little bit easier because you can start off with a water background. And then what you actually do is the tiles are, well, no, this is the same, right? Yeah, you do the same thing. You would do the same. Tiles are similar, but these ones are actually have a lot more complex kind of shapes that you do. So what you would do is you'd start off with like the same kind of ground textured background, and these all kind of snap together, showing through the ground underneath. But you can see that these have a lot more complex kind of coastlines. But it's all basically the same kind of system. That's been brought up a few times, Svenster. So I believe it's definitely on the wish list. You want to vote it up. So everything will be probably done in time. It's just where do we put the resources? But we have some amazing new features coming for our painting tab, which I'm super excited about. All right, guys. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, or if there's nothing else I can help you with, I think I'm going to call it here for today. I so appreciate everyone coming out and checking out the stream. And we'll be back this next Saturday. I'm here at 3 p.m. I usually go to about 6, but lately I've been cutting it just a little bit short. But I think we'll probably do a full one this next coming one. Yeah, thank you, everybody. And we will see you all next time. I hope everyone has